Welcome to the 700 Club. Bad news out of the UN. France and Saudi Arabia led several nations in recognizing a Palestinian state at the United Nations yesterday. Israel and the United States boycotted the meeting.
In Israel and all around the world, the Jewish people are celebrating Rosh Hashanah. The Feast of Trumpets kicks off the Jewish New Year. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
French President Emmanuel Macron made the announcement.
Je déclare que la France reconnaît aujourd'hui l'État de Palestine.
On Monday's 700 Club, Israeli ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, slammed the declarations as a reward to Hamas for October 7th.
It's shameful. They're rewarding terrorism. We know it's empty declarations. Nothing good will not come from those declarations.
France also presented a plan for the Palestinian Authority to lead Gaza after the war and with international troops deployed under a UN mission. Danon said Israel's government will decide how to respond after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu meets with President Trump at the White House next week. President Trump addresses the United Nations today, where he's expected to criticize globalist organizations and tout his foreign policy successes. Axios is reporting President Trump will meet a select group of Arab and Muslim leaders at the UN to discuss the end of the war and present his principles for who governs post-Gaza. Meanwhile, the IDF says it has no other choice but to push deeper into Gaza City to defeat Hamas. The IDF is carrying out a wide-scale campaign to get civilians out of harm's way, but Hamas is blocking them from leaving combat zones. So far, more than 500,000 Gazans have left, but many remain in what some are calling the biggest human shield in history. As the war continues, Israel and Jews around the world celebrate Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets established in the book of Leviticus. It says, "Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall have a Sabbath rest, a memorial of blowing of trumpets." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sent greetings to Jews around the world.
And as the Jewish New Year begins, we see a rising tide of anti-Semitism in many countries. I say to every Jew, wherever you may be, you are not alone. Israel will always be your home. From Jerusalem, the undivided, eternal capital of the Jewish people, I send to every Jewish home in the world the blessings of a happy new year.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
On this UN resolution, remember that the UN created a buffer zone in southern Lebanon, and that was part of a peace deal. And one of the conditions for Israel withdrawing. Within that buffer zone, Hezbollah thrived, and they built terror tunnels. They had the ability to launch rockets. They amassed an army that was apparently the envy of some European states. And so to say that somehow the UN will come through on Gaza is just dreaming. In the middle of all of that, the head of Hezbollah publicly proclaimed that he wanted more Jews to return to Israel so he wouldn't have to hunt them down around the world. Let us recognize the ideology here, and whether it's of Hezbollah or of Hamas or of the PLO or of the Popular Front or of Iran, they want the extermination of Jews. They want to wipe Israel off the map. That is their stated goal. And to reward it and to recognize it and to give statehood to it, are you out of your mind? Let us stand with Israel and stand strong that, no, this kind of hatred cannot exist in the world today. So many nations stood by, and some claiming, well, we didn't know what was going on during the Holocaust, all of that, and we all vowed never again. Well, here it is happening right now in our generation today. Let us stand with Israel, and especially on the head of the new year, Rosh Hashanah, the unfulfilled feast in the New Testament, the one that we all long for, when that trumpet will sound, when that shofar will sound, and we can look to the heavens and our redemption draws nigh. Let's celebrate with the Jewish people. Let's celebrate and be signed and sealed for a very good year, because we've had a very bad one. In other news, President Trump's warning of a possible link between Tylenol and autism is causing controversy. George Thomas has that story and more from the CBN newsroom. George?
That's right, Gordon. The maker of Tylenol, as well as some medical experts, strongly disagree with the charge that the painkiller's main ingredient, acetaminophen, is linked to higher risk of autism. Wendy Griffith reports.
President Trump Monday warned women against the possible dangers of taking Tylenol while pregnant and says the FDA will be giving doctors new guidance on the drug.
Acetaminophen, is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, during pregnancy can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary.
Medically necessary meaning only in cases where a high fever would pose a risk to the fetus. The American Academy of Pediatrics said the news conference was filled with dangerous claims and misleading information, and that no studies have proven that the use of Tylenol by pregnant women is a cause for autism. But FDA Commissioner Dr. Martin McCary says a Harvard University and Mount Sinai review of more than 24 studies found that an autism link is possible.
And they saw 27 studies that show an association and 4 studies that did not. And the dean of the Harvard School of Public Health concluded that there was a causal association between acetaminophen use in pregnancy and autism.
The maker of Tylenol strongly disagrees, saying, "We believe independent sound science clearly shows that taking acetaminophen does not cause autism. We strongly disagree with any suggestion otherwise." CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson confirms some studies do show a possible link, but says they are incomplete.
Here's the problem. The studies so far, the human studies, have been observational, not scientific studies. It would be immoral to do scientific studies giving pregnant women Tylenol, which could possibly harm the babies. So these are just observational studies. And the question is, what else was going on with these pregnant women?
The administration is also recommending an FDA-approved cancer drug, leucovorin, as a possible treatment for autism. Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Thank you, Wendy. In New York, the Secret Service discovered a major threat to the city's telecommunications services. Agents have taken apart a huge hidden network involving more than 300 SIM servers with over 100,000 SIM cards, not more than 35 miles away from the United Nations. The network capable of sending 30 million encrypted anonymous text messages in just 1 minute, which could have taken out cell phone towers and blackout cellular service. Investigators say they have not discovered a plot against the UN General Assembly, but they do suspect it's backed by other nations. While state and local governments worry that they could soon lose funding for crucial cybersecurity tools, putting critical infrastructure at risk. National Security Correspondent Caitlin Burke has a story.
Across the country, nearly 19,000 state and local agencies, from schools and hospitals to police departments and water utilities, could soon lose a critical line of defense against cyber attacks.
The services we provide are services that are needed, especially with under-resourced communities, smaller communities where they may not have the capabilities to go out and procure, cyber defenses.
This service is called the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center, or MSISAC. It's a one-of-a-kind system providing real-time alerts and low-cost security tools to state, local, territorial, and tribal governments. Earlier this year, Homeland Security slashed $10 million from the program's budget. Now, the remaining funds, about $27 million, are set to expire at the end of September.
The president's been very clear that defense of the homeland is number one priority. Now, that involves the border, it involves missile defense, but it also involves cybersecurity and protection of our critical infrastructures. And I think it's kind of an own goal to defund the multi-state ISAC when you acknowledge that the defense of the homeland really is your number one priority.
John Gilligan, CEO of the Center for Internet Security, which operates the program, says these cuts hit as cyber attacks are increasing.
What we're seeing across the nation is foreign nation states, drug cartels, just criminals looking to make money, are now focusing on where's the weakest link. And often the weakest link is the local organizations, the cities, the towns, the school districts.
While he agrees states should take more responsibility for their own cybersecurity, some federal support remains essential.
Roughly 30% of our nation's critical infrastructure is run by, water, wastewater probably being the largest, is run by government organizations. And so what I describe is these state and local organizations, they're on the front line of defending this nation.
Robert Beach, an MS-ISAC executive committee member and chief technology officer for Cocoa, Florida, says cybersecurity at the local level should be a national security issue.
We have local governments trying to defend against nation-state actors, the big four out there, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, on municipal budgets. And that's just not a tenable situation for local governments to have to defend against these types of adversaries on municipal budgets.
To highlight what's at stake, retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery with FDD points to Volt Typhoon, a 2024 Chinese operation to infiltrate and then shut down critical U.S. infrastructure.
They've showed their hand with Volt Typhoon. We found them. And I promise you, for everything we found, there's something we haven't found. So there's a lot of risk here.
With federal dollars drying up, MS-ISAC has shifted to a paid membership model. About a third of the states that previously used the service are in, although there's concern others could fall through the cracks.
To make the pricing models fit with everyone and very reasonable, not everyone's going to be able to do that. Not everyone's going to be able to subscribe to the service. So it really puts the organization in a tough situation, and the organizations that need it the most are probably the ones in greatest jeopardy of not receiving services.
Congress still has time to step in and use unspent funds from this year's budget. The Center for Internet Security plans to stay on Capitol Hill through the end of the month, pushing lawmakers to keep federal support flowing for local cyber defense. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Thank you, Caitlin. And Gordon, boy, oh boy, as AI ramps up, cybersecurity becomes all the more critical, right?
Absolutely. The battlefield of the future isn't going to be fought with physical weapons. It's going to be fought with technological weapons. And if you can take down a nation's infrastructure, whether it's the electric grid or the air traffic control, just start thinking of the number of different systems that are completely reliant on computers. You can shut a nation down, and you don't have to bomb it in order to win a technical victory. We've already seen it. There was a pipeline that fueled the southeastern United States, and it was a critical supply for gasoline. And literally, people ran out of gas, and it caused great economic damage. That was done by some hackers on a ransomware attack. Imagine if a state actor got involved and got very serious about, I want to take down democracies. I want to hit them at vulnerable points. And let's start picking election times or any time where there's some turmoil within the country. I can hit a tipping point and get all the strategic advantage I need without firing a single shot. I can just do it with technology. In an AI-enabled world, that is unfortunately all too real, and we need to do whatever we can to protect ourselves.